We are going to see the following. We have some events coming to event hubs, can be a source system, IoT device, whatever you can imagine. Then we will load that to Snowflake using the new SDK for Snowpipe streaming. And then we will read that with that DuckDB because the target in Snowflake is an iceberg table. So the setup, this is my version. Looks like this here, how you have the source systems or machines or whatever that are sending the events here. Then we will use my component called EVSNOW that just listen to notifications from event hubs and calls the API from Snowflake. And then I have set up that there that it will store in an iceberg table. And then using DuckDB, because in an iceberg table, we will query the data that has been written. One of the good thing about this is that there is no warehouse running. So basically, the only cost that you pay is the ingestion cost and some other compute costs that are normal to Snowflake, but no need for a warehouse running, which I think is very cool. This same image, I asked ChatGPT to create. This looks much cooler. Basically, same stuff, event hubs. The data comes, go to Snowflake, iceberg table in a Azure storage account, and then we give, for now, read-only access to DuckDB to read that table. Here I have a terminal where I will run the EVSNOW utility. That's the small utility that I wrote that does a very simple job. It listens for events from Event Hub and then calls the um, Snowflake streaming API. So it just passes the message, and then the message are written by Snowflake into an iceberg table. I will run it now. It will initialize, and you can see in the initialization here on the console, and also you can see here in Pydantic if you get a free account for Pydantic. Basically, it's telling me that there is one mapping from an event hub to some Snowflake that is ongoing. If I jump here to Snowflake, uh, I can do a select from that table. There is totally empty. And then I can do a count and 0 records. If I go to Azure, I configure an external volume that it's connected to a storage account, a container. And because my table is called events, then it creates this kind of folder. And now we can see that here it has only the metadata folder. It doesn't have a data folder. Now, what I will do, I will just run a dummy program that I have that just sends some event. I will set, for example, 4,000 events and see what happens. Ooh, yeah, it happens. File. Okay, now sending batch 4,000 messages. And if we go to the Pydantic log, we can see that here it processed 3,500 messages because there is a setting that how until what size does the batch has to wait until it's committed. So I set it to 3,500. And now there it says, okay, there are 500 messages that there are two ways that this message will be committed, or they arrive 3,000 more, or then there is a timeout that, hey, after this, how many minutes, if there is not enough message anyway, pass them to Snowflake. And now if we go back to Snowflake, we see that there are 3,500 records. And if we see the table, here we can see all the data that has arrived to there. Also, it's interesting to check that if we come here and do a refresh, Now there is the folder data, and we can see that there is one Parquet file that has been created. If I send another batch of 4,000, let's say, if we come back to Snowflake and do a count, remember there were 3,500. Now it's 7,000. And if we check what's happening on the storage account, we see that there is now another Parquet there. So basically, we are ingesting data from EventHubs in real time or streaming. If you read the documentation, I will link my video where I explain how Snowflake charges now for ingestion. There is no need for a warehouse running. You just pay per gigabyte ingested, which is very nice. All right, where are we now? I ran the command to send 2 times 4,000 messages, and we saw that there were 7,000 because the batch size was set to 3,500. So it received 4,000. It has a setting that, okay, 3,500, that's the batch I want, so write it, and the other 500s will be written when there is enough extra message to read 3,500 on after some minutes. Those are all configurable in the EVSNOW. So now, all in all, we have 8,000 records in the table that where we have received via the Snowpipe streaming. So I can start DuckDB minus UI. So I will get a UI like this, and then I can run these commands here. So this will install the Azure extension for DuckDB. This will be creating an Azure secret, and it will use a credential change. You can read more about that, but basically you have to be logged in your console to Azure. So it just take those credentials from there. The nice thing is that you don't need any password, any keys, or anything like that. Well, I already had created it again. Then we have to set this command here. I will talk a bit more about that later. And then remember that in Azure, we had the storage account, and the table in Snowflake is called events, and Snowflake got this random number, so I have to know that here. And this is connected to this, but for now we don't have to worry. And basically now we can run this. That will create a view based on that, and then it will return how many rows are in that, or of course we can select the whole thing from there. So this part here, basically Iceberg, you need what is called a catalog. And here, because I'm just pointing directly to the folder, I'm not using a catalog. And that's why for now, DuckDB is only read only, so it doesn't write, because that would be complicated. If there is no catalog, then updates can happen at the same time, and that kind of stuff. So for now, it's read only, and we have to use this option. Soon I will try and record a new video where I will try with Snowflake Horizon or with Snowflake Open Catalog and see if I can make those work with DuckDB. All right, so I hope you enjoyed. What did we do? We have events coming from EventHub. Remember that EventHub also can be enabled to have a Kafka surface. So if you have anything that can send message to Kafka, it can send also to EventHub. From there, we are using my a small utility that is called EVSNOW that basically get those events and write those to an Apache iceberg table in Snowflake, which resides in a storage account. And from there, I can query that via DuckDB. So you have a very cost-efficient setup here because Snowpipe streaming, you only pay by megabyte ingested, and for the querying of that data, you just pay the compute where DuckDB is running. That can be your computer. Of course, you have to pay attention of the traffic so you don't get into egress things when you are querying using DuckDB, the storage account. Uh, le, uh, Put in your comments if you have any questions or wishes, and thanks for watching.